Welcome to the Deep Dive, where history takes us to some, well, pretty uncomfortable corners sometimes. Today we're looking at the story of Kentarō Tōji. He was a Japanese-class BC war criminal who ended up in Sugamo Prison after World War II.
Not exactly the retirement plan anyone envisions.
No, definitely not. And it's a stark reminder, really, that history isn't just about the heroes and the victories. It's also full of these, cautionary tales, stories of choices gone profoundly wrong.
Indeed. And our deep dive today, it's built around some really remarkable sources. We've got excerpts from this newly uncovered 6-year diary that Tōji himself wrote.
Starting in 1946, while he was in Sugamo.
That's right. And we're also drawing on insights from his son and a director who researched his story extensively.
It's a really unique window.
It really is. It gives us this unparalleled look into a truly tumultuous period and a very personal account of one man's journey through trauma and unexpected transformation. So our mission today really is to unpack Tōji's experiences and see what they reveal about the complex legacies and the very personal costs of war.
So let's start at the beginning then. Before he became known as a war criminal, who is Kentarō Tōji, what was his early life like?
Well, he was born in Fukuoka. He was the only child of a Hakata merchant.
Okay.
His father ran a stationery store. His mother, Uta, apparently doted on him. He seems to have been quite bright.
Went to university.
Yeah, attended the Tokyo University of Commerce. That's Hitotsubashi University now. So, a relatively normal start, you might say.
Right, but then things changed drastically with the war.
Very quickly. Just after he graduated, this was 1939, he was conscripted.
How old was he then?
Just 25. Had to leave his newlywed wife, Yasuo, behind. He was sent off to China first.
Okay.
But then, and this is crucial, in February 1944, he was temporarily recalled back to Fukuoka.
Recalled for what?
As an Army chief executioner for the Western Army headquarters there.
Wow. Back in his hometown in that specific role?
Exactly. And that posting, it really sets the stage for the pivotal and devastating moment in his life.
Which arrived, you said, on June 19th, 1945, the Fukuoka air raid. Can you paint a picture of that night?
It was just horrific. Over 220 B-29 bombers. They dropped something like 1,500 tons of incendiary bombs.
Incendiaries? So firebombing?
Yes. The city was essentially burned to the ground. Over 1,000 people died or went missing. It was an absolute inferno.
And in the middle of all that chaos,
personal tragedy struck Tōji directly. His mother, Uta, the one who doted on him, she was killed in the raid.
Oh, yeah.
When he found her body. The sources say he could only manage a soft mother before just collapsing in tears.
I can't even imagine. That raw grief must have been overwhelming.
It's absolutely critical context for what happened next. This profound, immediate personal loss.
So what did happen next? He was at the Western Army HQ, right?
Yes. And captured American B-29 crew members were being gathered there. Tōji noticed some commotion, went to see what was happening, and found executions were already taking place.
Right. And his reaction, given his grief.
That's what's so striking. He was consumed by this grief, this rage, and he volunteered himself to be an executioner.
He volunteered?
Yes. Famously declared, according to the accounts, I am the most suitable person to be the executioner.
Wow.
He borrowed a sword, beheaded one American soldier himself, and then, following orders, killed 3 more.
So not premeditated, but this visceral reaction.
Exactly. A reaction born out of that intense personal devastation, an act that would, without a doubt, define his immediate future.
Which led him, after the war, to Sugamo Prison, classified as a Class BC war criminal.
That's right.
And maybe just quickly for our listeners, Class BC, that's different from the Class A leaders, right?
Yes, absolutely. Class A were generally the top leaders accused of crimes against peace, like planning the war itself. Class BC were charged with more conventional war crimes or crimes against humanity, things like abuse of prisoners, murder, the kind of acts Tōji was accused of.
Got it. So his diary starts in 1946, covering 6 years in Sugamo. What does it tell us about his life there?
He gives quite vivid details, actually. Describes his cell tiny, about 3 tatami mats, had a wash basin under the desk lid, a flush toilet under his chair, practical details. And he noted the distance, too, 300 ri, about 700 miles, separating him from Fukuoka, from home.
And his son later reflected on why he kept the diary.
Yeah, his third son, Messiah. He believed his father wanted to leave a record for the family, especially for his children, to explain who he was, what he'd done, how he faced his fate.
To document what really happened?
From his perspective, yes, trying to convey his truth in, well, unimaginable circumstances.
And it wasn't just clinical facts, right? There were personal moments captured, too.
Oh, absolutely. Deeply poignant moments. He writes about visits from his wife, Yasuyo,
Who traveled all that way.
all the way from Fukuoka, with their 1-year-old second son, Shinya. He wrote about how incredibly hard her journey must have been.
It's just heartbreaking.
He wrote, he almost cried just seeing your face. And he always mentioned the wire mesh barrier between them.
And while he was inside, she was keeping things going.
Showed incredible resilience. She reopened their stationery store to support the family.
Wow.
Tōji reflected on that in his diary. He wrote, "You are fighting a desperate battle for me and the children. I too must fight.
A parallel struggle.
You fight the rough waves of the world. I quietly fight myself. Both are a struggle against fate." It really shows how connected they remained, even separated like that.
So, inevitably, his actions led to a trial. The Yokohama Military Tribunal.
Set up by the American forces specifically for these Class BC war crimes. We know around 40 people have been killed at the Western Army HQ where Tōji was.
And his defense.
Described as incredibly difficult. His own lawyer, Keiji Moi, told him flat out, "Your defense is very difficult." Said he was in the worst conditions among executioners.
Oof. But Tōji himself, he made a distinction, didn't he? About his role.
He did, and it's fascinating. He stated, "I gladly bear the responsibility as an executioner, but I bear no guilt as a murderer."
Responsibility, but not guilt as a murderer. What do you make of that?
It's a really profound attempt to grapple with it, I think. He's not denying the act, the responsibility for carrying out orders in that military context.
Okay.
But he's trying to separate that from personal moral culpability, the guilt of someone acting out of, say, pure malice or premeditated intent.
So, like, I was acting under orders in a war situation.
Kind of. It suggests maybe a form of compartmentalization, a way to cope, placing the act within the framework of wartime duty, not individual hatred. A tool of war, not a cold-blooded killer, seems to be the underlying sentiment. It really highlights that deep moral quagmire soldiers faced.
And he wanted to testify to explain this.
Yes, but his request was denied.
And his diary also shows his thinking continued to evolve, even in prison. There's that conversation with a guard.
Yes, a young Sugamo guard.
Okay.
This is maybe one of the most insightful parts. The guard asked if he still felt angry towards the American soldiers.
And his answer?
No, not at all. He said, "Now I only think my mother died for the Great War, not killed by Americans."
That's a huge shift. From personal vengeance to something broader.
Exactly. Understanding it as a cost of the war itself, not just an act by specific individuals, is remarkable.
Did he talk about the execution itself with the guard?
He did. Admitted he was truly angry right up until he volunteered.
Yeah.
But once he took his position, he said he had no room to think of anything but performing the executions splendidly.
Chilling.
But then, and this really shows his evolving perspective, he mentioned telling his wife, Yasuyo, about the executions later.
And her reaction?
Immediate.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking. She asked, "Didn't those pilots have wives and children?"
Oh.
Tōji wrote he was speechless, his conclusion in the diary. But I thought, this is war. It shows that growing awareness, doesn't it? The universal human cost, moving beyond just us versus them.
Still, despite all this reflection, the sentence came down.
December 29th, Tōji was 34. The sentence was death by hanging.
And he immediately appealed.
Yes, pursued an appeal for commutation straight away.
So while he was on death row, waiting, he was still seeing the grim reality of Sugamo.
Very much so. He documented other executions, like the ones from the Ishigaki Island incident. 7 Japanese soldiers executed for killing 3 American POWs.
Did he record anything specific about those?
He recorded farewells. One from Fujinaka Matsuo, a 28-year-old private first class. Said he appeared smiling and said, "It's finally here, no choice. We're going to the same place anyway. I look forward to meeting again. You all please be saved."
Heavy stuff.
Tōji even noted the number 13 on the gallows door. Just stark details.
And then, completely out of the blue, geopolitics intervened.
Exactly. A massive twist. June 25, 1950, the Korean War breaks out.
And just weeks later?
July 11th, the radio announcement comes. All the Western Army members, including Tōji, had their death sentences commuted to life imprisonment.
Must have been chaos in the prison.
Apparently, you could hear the cheers erupting. And it was a direct consequence of the U.S. shifting focus, resources to Korea. After those Ishigaki Island executions, no more were carried out at Sugamo.
Incredible. A war starting somewhere else saves his life.
It really shows how these huge events ripple down to individual fates.
Did Tōji reflect on that immediate change in his diary?
He did. Just 3 days after his commutation, July 14th, he wrote that a guard told him the prison would soon be transferred to Japanese control. American soldiers were deploying to Korea.
And his thoughts on those soldiers.
Profound empathy, remarkably. He wrote, "I feel so sorry for them, thinking of soldiers dying in droves under enemy fire. They all look depressed. I hate war."
Wow. From someone condemned by those same forces to feel empathy for them heading into another war.
It really underscores that shift, doesn't it? From the perpetrator's rage to this universal empathy for anyone caught up in war, regardless of side. He just hated the war itself.
So his death sentence is commuted. The San Francisco Peace Treaty gets signed in '51. He could have just served his time quietly, but he didn't.
No, he took on this huge project while still inside Sugamo, compiling the wills of executed war criminals.
Why did he feel the need to do that?
He felt a deep personal obligation. He said he had to do his best for those who died.
And this became a book.
Yes, Seiki no Isho. Translates as Wills of the Era, published in 1953.
How many wills did it contain?
An incredible 701, from individuals executed as war criminals all across Asia and the Pacific.
And was there a common thread, a shared message?
Absolutely. A really powerful, consistent message emerged. Things like, do not let your children become soldiers, even if times change.
Wow.
Pass this down to your descendants. How cruel war is. Whatever happens, absolutely oppose war. Advocate for peace, contribute to world peace. It was this collective plea, really, from those who paid the ultimate price.
So Tōji is eventually released. When was that?
After 10 years in Sugamo, he was provisionally released in 1956. Returned to Fukuoka, helped Yasuya with the stationery store.
His sons saw footage of his release later?
Yeah, they described seeing him 44 years old, just sitting quietly, composed, realizing he had genuinely prepared himself for death all those years.
But he didn't just fade away, he expanded the business.
He did. Quite boldly, moved it to a prime location in Fukuoka. But even more striking was his public honesty.
How so?
He actually spoke on local TV, and he said something quite provocative for the time. He felt that while Japanese people often focused on being victims of the war, there wasn't enough national reflection on their role as perpetrators.
That's a brave thing to say.
Incredibly. He said, "True patriotism is making your country loved by surrounding countries," and concluded, "The patriotism we once had was wrong." A profound shift, stated publicly.
And this commitment to peace, it continued in his personal life.
It really did. He actively supported Asian students, even had them over to his home.
Building bridges.
Trying to. And maybe most symbolically, he built 4 Jizo statues.
Why 4?
One for each of the American soldiers he had killed.
Wow. What was his reasoning?
He said, between nation and nation, person and person, there is no hatred. The contradiction of war is forcing them to hate and fight.
Seeking reconciliation even on that personal level. He passed away in 1983.
Yes, at the age of 68, having spent much of his later life working in his own way to prevent future wars.
And there's a lasting physical legacy too, isn't there? The statue in Tokyo.
That's right, the Agapa statue, right in front of JR Tokyo Station.
Funded by the book.
Exactly, by the profits from Seiki no Isho. It was made in 1955. There's no explanation on it, just the single Greek word, agape.
Meaning ultimate love.
Ultimate unconditional love.
Yeah.
It's often visited by international tourists, sometimes silently. It really reflects that core sentiment from the wills offering love as the counterpoint to war and hate.
A quiet symbol.
And it also symbolizes, I think, those often unspoken stories of the Class BC war criminals. The ordinary people caught up, tried, executed. Their stories are much less known than the big Class A leaders. Tōji's diary, his whole later life, is just this powerful testament to wanting to stop war, to confront the past, however uncomfortable.
And while we're on the subject of choices, you can make a good one by following this deep dive, telling your friends about it, and sticking with us for more dives into the stories behind the headlines. Our producer, FireflyHaku, meticulously puts these together, making sure even these darker chapters come through with clarity and, just enough polish to keep you listening. Appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget to share and return for more.